We got some pretty big news today in regards to college football, as arguably the best running back in the entire nation put his name into the transfer portal. All that and more on today's episode of 4th and 10. 4 college football stories in just around 10 minutes. Now, let's go for it. Before we get to today's topics, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're watching this video, odds are that you love college football, and odds are you aren't subscribed to my channel. So make sure to subscribe to one of the best college football communities here on YouTube. Our first piece of news dropped this morning, and this is probably the most shocked I've been all offseason for a player that entered the transfer portal. Ole Miss running back Quinshon Judkins officially put his name in this morning. Now, the reason this is such a big move is because you can make the case that Quinshon Judkins is the best running back in all of college football. This season, Judkins became the first SEC player since Herschel Walker with at least 15 touchdowns in each of his first 2 college seasons. During his first 2 years with Ole Miss, he's ran for over 2,700 yards with 34 total touchdowns. He's led the SEC in rushing touchdowns each of the last 2 years and has 14 games with at least 100 rushing yards. This past season, Judkins ran for over 1,100 yards and had 15 rushing scores. He also caught 22 passes for 150 yards with 2 receiving touchdowns. Overall, he led the SEC in total touchdowns and was 4th in the conference in yards from scrimmage. The fact that he ran for 1,100 yards with 15 touchdowns and his numbers actually took a hit just goes to show how good of a running back he truly is. Another reason this is so shocking is because Ole Miss is one of the better teams in all of college football. You normally don't see a player of his caliber on a team that's probably a top 15 team in the country entering the transfer portal. Although it's not official, my guess is this has everything to do with money. As I mentioned, he's arguably the best running back in all of college football, so he's probably going to get a pretty nice payday next season. And if I were to guess, Ole Miss wasn't offering the kind of money he was hoping for, and he's going to enter the portal to see what opportunities are out there for him. Again, you're a record-setting running back at a program that just finished the season inside the top 10. Why on earth would you leave? But that just goes to show where college football currently is at and where we're headed. As of right now, since this did just happen about an hour ago, I haven't seen any reports as to which programs could potentially be in the running for Judkins. But if I were to guess, they're going to be the heavy hitters who normally can afford the best players in college football. Or maybe Judkins just doesn't think Ole Miss is going to be that great next season, and he wants to go to a program that gives him a better opportunity of winning a national championship. Either way, I'm not certain what the reasoning behind it is, but the transfer portal just added quite the playmaker. I mean, it's not every year that the best player at a certain position becomes available in the transfer portal. I wouldn't be surprised if all the top teams are all over Judkins and the bidding gets really high. Moving on to some other transfer news, former Ohio State wide receiver Julian Fleming announced that he'll be transferring to Penn State. Fleming was the #1 overall recruit in the 2020 class by ESPN, but he entered the transfer portal in early December. This past season for the Buckeyes, he caught 26 passes for 270 yards. Overall, Fleming's tenure at Ohio State was very underwhelming, considering he was the top wide receiver of his entire class. During his time with the Buckeyes, he caught 80 passes for just under 1,000 yards with 7 touchdowns. His best season came in 2022 when he had 34 catches for 500 yards and 6 touchdowns. Overall, he appeared in 38 games with the Buckeyes and made 22 starts. I'd say this is probably a great move for him, but considering he struggled at Ohio State with some pretty good quarterbacks, I don't know if things are going to get much better at Penn State. Drew Aller is going to be the quarterback once again in 2024, and man, watching a lot of Penn State games this year, that offense looked really bad. I mean, Penn State landed some pretty good wide receivers in the portal last offseason, and that really didn't result in anything. Sure, Julian Fleming can turn things around at Penn State and turn into the wide receiver we all thought he would be, but I just don't like this match for him at all. A pretty big quarterback entered the transfer portal in former Liberty quarterback Caden Salter. Salter emerged as one of the more underrated quarterbacks in all of college football this season for Liberty. He led them to a 13-1 season, with their lone loss coming a couple days ago to Oregon. He led the Flames to an undefeated regular regular season and a Conference USA championship. He finished his season throwing for nearly 3,000 yards with 31 passing touchdowns and only 6 interceptions. He also added over 1,000 yards on the ground with 12 rushing scores as well. From a pure numbers standpoint, he was one of the better quarterbacks in all of college football this season, but he was at Liberty and the competition he was facing wasn't all that great. Still, he's one of the bigger names that's in the transfer portal, and he's going to be a massive addition to whatever program lands him. We'll wrap up today's video with former Ohio State quarterback Kyle McCord saying that Syracuse could be a potential playoff contender as early as next season. Yep, you heard that right. Kyle McCord believes that Syracuse can compete for a college football playoff spot next season. Here's what he said during an appearance on the Quarterback Room podcast. They said that with the guys they're going to bring in and some of the guys they're bringing back, we're going to be able to make a serious run at it. Their recruiting pitch was, listen, we're a quarterback away from being a serious contender in the ACC this year. I looked at the schedule and I saw it and think it's true. There's definitely an opportunity for us to go out and win some games. There's a realistic chance if we win some games and do what we should do in my eyes, we'll have a chance to compete at the end of the season in the 12-team playoff. That was a big factor in the decision. You don't have to choose one of the top handful of schools to have an opportunity in the playoffs at the end of the year. You can go to one of the smaller Power 5 schools, and if you win some games, you'll be in contention. So that's certainly an interesting take, saying that Syracuse could make a run in the ACC and potentially make a college football playoff run. But I just loaded up their schedule, and I think Kyle McCord might actually be onto something. When looking at their 12 opponents, honestly, there's maybe only a couple of games in which Syracuse shouldn't be the favorite. I mean, seriously, I'm taking a look at this schedule 1 through 12, and the only games on here that are probably going to be difficult are Miami, Georgia Tech, NC State, and I guess maybe Cal, I don't know, maybe Pitt, but all of these games, Syracuse could honestly be the favorite in. Now, I don't think they're going to go undefeated, but I wouldn't be surprised if Syracuse can mess around and potentially win 9 or maybe even 10 games next season. So I think Kyle McCord actually might be onto something, and if you want to buy those way too early Syracuse tickets of reaching the college football playoff at probably like 200 to 1 odds, today might be your best opportunity to do so. Well, that wraps it up for today's episode of 4th and 10. What are your thoughts on Quinshon Judkins entering the transfer portal? Do you think he's doing it to get his highest payday, or do you think he wants a better chance of winning a college football championship? Whatever your thoughts are on today's topics, let me know in the comment section down below. Before you leave, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. I'm posting college football videos all off season, so make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.